tight pillow. Interesting call here. This is really a three-man pass rush, and we're playing cover three. Okay. Now the zones might have to adjust because of an extra dropper, as it puts here, but in the Madden world, we'll try to make this pretty simple for us. Um, the big thing here is what I've noticed is there's some situations that come up. If you look at here, there's a switch call. So if we get into a situation where the number two receiver to the passing string, where the safety's dropping down, is removed, we're going to end up potentially having what we call a switch call, which would basically have the safety play kind of the curl flat. I mean, the hook curl. But we're going to make that a little bit different, and I'll show you on the field here. One big thing is that let's take a look at the photos. It's a lot better and easier to talk through the photos, in my opinion. Um, we're going to take cover three sky, okay? And we're going to start there because it's a little bit easier to adjust from there. But there are some seam elements or matching elements that are attached to this if we want it to be, okay? So look at this formation here, regular 2x1, all right? This is where we're going to start with looking at that number two and where is he aligned? He's attached to the formation. He's in the core, okay? His hands in the dirt. So because of that, the extra dropper in cover three sky or cover three seam is going to be that Sam linebacker, the strong side backer to the safety, to the down safety side. That's how I write it up in the instructions. Okay. The outside linebacker to the down safety side. This is where the safety is rotating. He's the guy you're going to have to put in the coverage. If number two is attached, I'm going to put him out on the hard side. Okay. And let this safety that's coming down play his curl flat. Okay. If we get a slot formation like this, and number two is detached, meaning that he's lined up as a wide receiver away from the core, we're going to take that Sam linebacker and just put him into a vertical hook. Okay. The safety is going to walk down and play his flat rule. And here it's actually a seam flat. So this is where we will make the extra adjustment if we can and put that safety into a seam flat assignment, okay? So that he can play seam rules on number two. So in this defense now, you know, usually he would be rushing. So this player here would be a hook curl player. This is where I would probably use this guy, right? And now you can play a little tighter. You don't have to play so wide knowing that there's a curl flat player inside of you and there's a flat player, okay? Especially in this situation where, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. This guy's a vertical hook player, so you don't have to go take away the hook right now. You can kind of hang out more in the middle, all right? So that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of the defense. It's called pillow, soft pillow, playing soft coverage. The one thing I got to take a look at is the disguise part of it. So you can see here that the safeties are playing in that quarters look, too high shell, and then they're rotating on the snap. So that's what we're going to have to try to create if we can get this out of, especially out of a slot formation like this. Can we line up in a shell that doesn't show cover three and then rotate down to cover three on the snap? That's going to be difficult because it might require some movements with some other players. Okay. Trying to, we're going to have to freeze a couple players in their positioning, all right, and then have to, make the audible. So that's why I was telling you guys there's a little bit of checks. If you really want to make it genuinely the Fangio style, there's a couple little adjustments you have to make, and there's going to be some little bit of disguise, um, disguise things you have to do if you really want to hold that to the shell. Okay. All right, let's jump on the Madden field. Let's try to recreate this. All right, so let's make sure our match coverage is on. So out of the odd package, I added in three sky today. So if you uploaded this playbook already, you need to go re-upload it. All right. I'm going to come out versus any formation, but let's start with pro. So if you call three sky, you see what happens, right? You get that down safety look. Now, depending on your league, you can kind of make adjustments with this. You can play baseline if your league allows it. I've always thought baseline is actually okay as long as the wide receivers are in a 2x2 set, usually, or in a 2x1 set. Usually you get the corner is not, they're not aligned too far inside like they are versus 3x1 sets. But anyway, We can do that, right? So, or we can try to work this out where we're going to actually call quarters, right? And we use a little bit of the disguise principles that we talked about earlier. So, if I call quarters coverage and we come out in this, if your league allows you to nudge, you can easily nudge guys, right? Move that guy a little bit, hold on to this guy so he doesn't move, play three sky. You can work that out. So now they don't know if it's cover three or not. Something I'll be doing in one of my leagues, which I didn't know you can do. You can nudge. Let me try to see if I can quickly use it also in the standpoint of backing people off. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's just try it out. So I'm going to back everybody up. I'm going to hold on to my player back here. I'm going to play three sky. Yeah, it doesn't really work as well. He kind of gets a lot of whiff there, but I guess you can get away with this. So if you back everybody up and you check your coverage, you can get into a three sky look. So that's pretty good, right? He gets a little bit more width now, but you can do that. So no matter your league style, you can get away with kind of disguising a three sky, all right, versus a tight end in line. All right. So that's important because the tight end, like I had said, if he was walked out as a wide receiver or was a wide receiver out there, it'd be a little bit different. So when the tight end's in line, what I'm going to propose to you guys is to take this guy and put him into a hard flat. And we're pretty much going to create a Mabel coverage that most people love and know from back in the day, right? And then let everybody else just play it out as usual. Now, if you don't want to do that, you think that's not needed, you can put this guy into a vertical hook, which allows you now to maybe use this player and not have to be so hard in the hook. You can just kind of sit more in the middle of the field. I haven't really worked this enough, so once I get more examples of how you can really use this guy, I'll do it. Maybe if you guys want to talk to Coach Scott, talk to him, ask him how he does it. But that's a big deal. Now let's go into a slot formation. All right. Now let's try to work the disguise here a little bit. Actually, you know what? Don't even do the disguise. Let's start with just base football. Okay. So the outside linebacker to the side of the safety, he's the guy that has to work back. You put him into a vertical hook. Okay. You take this player here. All right. And now you're the three receiver hook. So it's that simple. Now, anytime you get a walked out wide receiver in their game plan, they would take this guy and put him into a seam flat two times. Is that an option for me here? What's going on? Usually that is an option. So that's not an option for you. So you can't do it that way. All right. So I just learned something new there, guys. In this case, you might want to call cover three seam. If you really want to, this is like an extra part. If you really want to do this, okay, it's not necessary. We have three seam here. Let's say you're worried about a corner route or you want to have the safety match up on number two. We'll just play it like this, okay? We'll make the same adjustment here. The one thing I would highly suggest is like I had talked about in old films of mine, take the backside seam player, put him in a curl flat. What that does is changes the assignment of the corner, so the corner will not jump up and play anything to the flat. Okay. So just wanted to let you know you can do that. So you would call it three seam. I thought you can check in the seam. I guess only nickels can do that. Add a nickel defense. Okay. So safeties can't do it. So I learned something new there. We're good to go. All right. Other formations, right? So it doesn't matter really what the formation is, but we can use this defense versus, um, single back formations as well. Let me try to work the disguise here a little bit. So we got this player walked out. If you really wanted to keep this disguise, you're going to have to nudge. Okay. So you definitely have to nudge him. We could probably back everybody else off and play cover three sky. Make sure you control the backside safety. You could probably do that if you like and work it out. But you definitely want to nudge this guy. And then because number two is detached over here, okay, he's definitely going to play the vertical hook. So now you can work this defense versus this look. All right, let's try that same defense without nudging anybody. Actually, you're going to have to nudge. It's a waste of time for me to even do it, but I'll just show you. Because as soon as we check this coverage, that Sam linebacker is going to come walking back in, even if I back everybody up. So I'm going to back everybody up here, and then I'm going to check to the cover three sky. You see what's going to happen here? It's going to be an uncovered two. And in the Madden world that we live in, this is going to equal bubble or something bad happening, okay? If you don't think bubble's coming, guy doesn't have bubble out of this formation, then you can try the vertical hook and you can play ball from there and let it play out. this you can't seam this player, so I would highly suggest to just let it play out. Don't do anything special, okay? But we are using the pillow technique, the pillow coverage right here. So as you can see, guys, there's a lot to that. There's a little bit of, practice that you need to get done. Um, I will say this though, also don't forget to use your adjustments with your D line and make sure that you um, slant them inside. I only really had it built out of odd. I'm not going to highly suggest to do it out of under unless you want the three seam, but you can. All right. Over, there's another three seam there if you want. Don't worry about this even right now. I'm just testing something out for another play. Okay. So don't worry about that. Our cover three sky versus number two attached. You can go cover three seam versus number two detached. And from there, you just got to make your adjustments and play ball. All right. When do you use this coverage? I would say, let's say you were playing a lot of dog and you didn't want to, you wanted to give him a different look. I would actually use this personally. Let's say, you get a lot of slot formation. I would use this as more as a change up with the one high shell and let people think this is cover one. That's how I would start it. And then I know now that I have an extra dropper, right? All right, guys, I'll see you in the next play call.